Hello, this is Berzinsky for Beardbrand. And continuing in our watercolor time-lapse series, we're going to give this guy, by request, Arnold Schwarzenegger, a beard. I'll be back. So I'm using this picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in probably the peak of his action hero fame. It's hard to pick a picture whether I would give very young Arnold a beard or action hero Arnold or latter Arnold. If you look online, you'll see pictures of Arnold from The Running Man, one of his movies, where he actually sported a short cropped beard in the movie. And then most recently, he's tended actually to wear a beard now that he's 70 years old, from time to time, but probably no more than about a 30-day beard. He has capabilities to grow quite a beard, I think, and we're going to encourage him along by giving him a beard now. So as before, I'm using a standard cardboard, corrugated cardboard, which you would get in a packing box as my background paper. And I've transferred the image of Arnold from that photograph in pencil onto the board. And I'm going to start laying down some washes. Hardest thing for me about painting is actually just starting. Just putting down the first thing. It takes not that much time to do a setup to get the image ready and to transfer it, but there's always a little apprehension about putting down those first washes. And because with painting, with watercolor, it's somewhat permanent. That's why I try to go light and then build up the color accordingly. Talked before about singling out features on someone's face, something that you might spotlight, and people who have very even features, it's often difficult to pick one. In Arnold's case, there's a lot of distinctive features. The shape of his mouth, pretty much this smirk that has a turned down side and a turned up, creating a smirk, is pretty distinctive. The overall shape of his face, obviously the jawline, and actually the broadness of his nose are all pretty good indicators when you look at him quickly of who he is. So I probably tend to focus on the face shape as well as the smirking quality of his smile. What's great about is the acceptance of beards in culture today. Over just even a few years ago, you see a lot of men who are in the age category of Arnold, celebrities, for example, like Pierce Brosnan and Mel Gibson, guys who now can easily sport a beard, and not just for a role that they would be playing in a movie or something like that, but just as a day-to-day thing. And recently saw Pierce doing that. He wore a beard well beyond what his movie role was calling for, which I thought was kind of cool, and in my opinion actually looked better. I think older guys often look better with beards. As your face ages, you can develop a sense of weakness about jaw, especially in the neck area. Looseness of skin there, and a lot of times growing a beard can actually help to camouflage those areas, and maybe that's why I have a beard. I don't want to color too heavily on the lower part since I'm going to cover up the beard. at this phase of his life, his hair is fairly dark. I think during action hero Arnold phase, his hair was often dyed slightly darker than its sandy brown color, and as he's gotten older, I know that he continued to dye his hair in his political aspirations. His hair is fairly gray now, so be interesting to see him let his natural hair color in, as some of these other celebrities have, namely, as I mentioned before, Mel Gibson and Pierce. I think you can already see Arnold's face developing there pretty distinctly just by putting down even a few lines. I can start to see that it might be coming together well. Even right now it has a Terminator quality about it. When painting, a line is defined not so much by drawing a line or painting a line, but by painting a shape. So in this way, for example, I'm getting the edge of his hair and the shape of his ear, not by drawing a line, but by drawing the background color, which will, by contrast to the two shapes, define the edge. Using a palette, watercolors with a black, a blue, ochre, violet, and rust, or a reddish color. And when I mix these together, I get this distinctive sepia color that I like to use when doing these paintings, especially on a sepia-toned cardboard. Talk about the eyes being the window of the soul, and often just by putting in someone's eyes, just even the start of that, in this case, you can really start to see what a person is starting to look like when in the application of paint. As I have some of these heavier washes down, I'm going to let this dry a little bit and we'll come right back. So continuing to build up some washes, the cardboard that I have this time is slightly different, I'm realizing, than I had before, which is taking longer to dry. We'll try to speed things up and do a little even more in the time-lapse department. Starting to come together there. Definitively, I think Arnold. We'll just keep going here and get ready to give this guy a beard. Process with watercolor is typically to build up washes, but sometimes you want to lay down thicker color so it's more of a block shape. Like I'm doing on this background. As it dries, it tends to get lighter, and so I come back in often and add layer upon layer of tones to get the desired depth that I want. Sometimes things will actually look wrong when you put them on, and Generally, they dry and everything is good. But initially, sometimes it might look a little jarring until it actually does dry. I was doing a painting of him naturally. I'd go in, or without a beard, I would go in and put more definitive outlines related to his jaw, which is so distinctive. But since I'm going to be covering that up with a beard, often I don't want those lines to be showing through. So I will go back, I'll stay pretty light, and then go in later if I need to define the indication of the jaw underneath. Even as early as his 20s, Arnold, I think, became a cigar aficionado, and you can find pictures of him online way back in the day with a stogie. Here's one from his action hero phase with a cigar on the cover of Cigar Aficionado magazine. And then you see pictures of him as an older gentleman now with the cigar often. I know that he really does like the cigar. It's often funny that you see guys who started off in the fitness industry, and it's something you usually don't associate with fitness. I think cigars are seen slightly different than cigarette smoking, for example, in terms of its relationship to health and all. Yep, I think that's Arnold. So we'll build up a little more. What's interesting is the amount of minimal lines and minimal painting sometimes that you have to do to get the indication. Mostly just in an eye, just a few lines defining the ear, the chin, the nostril, and the eye here. It often doesn't take much, and you still get the idea of who you're painting there. And I think that definitely has the feeling of Arnold, especially you can see the Terminator coming through in the eyes. We'll be back in a second. I'm going to build up just a couple of more washes. Through the power of technology, we have jumped ahead, and I went ahead and gave Arnold a beard. My apologies for not giving you privy to that, but I had a little technical difficulty. But I have given him a fairly dark beard. He has some sandy undertones in his natural hair, so I defined his mustache a little lighter, but also the photograph itself had definitive highlights here, which I've called out in the mustache itself. It really does transform him. If you remember the original photograph here, to seeing him with a beard. It's kind of sorry that I'm kind of sorry that we didn't get the opportunity to see Arnold with a beard like this. The one he wore in The Running Man was fairly cropped and short. I don't think it would have been more than maybe a 1-month beard. And the beards that he sports now, now that he's about 70 years old, are in the same variety. I don't think I've ever seen him longer with than maybe a 6-week beard. This probably represents a beard that's in the 3-month range, which is what we talk about as the kind of the defining moment in terms of beard length that will show you your full potential. So I think this shows that Arnold would have looked pretty good with a beard. So comment below and tell us what you think of this. and who you might want to see in an upcoming watercolor transformation series. What celebrity, whether in politics, sports, Hollywood, anything you would want to see with a beard. So until we meet again, beard on.
Beardbrand is a premium men's grooming company with products not only for your beard, but also your hair and body. Do yourself a favor and head over to beardbrand.com and take care of yourself. Or you can stick around and watch a few more of our awesome videos.